Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct honor and privilege of representing the three guys of the Three Guys podcast. Today, we're here to talk with Cesar Wurm with IHG and Brad Rahinsky with Hotel Equities about the topic that's most important to everybody, sobriety.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to share some experiences, some history, and some inspiration, hopefully in the process. All right. So Cesar has written this book about his journey. It's getting a lot of press these days. A lot of people are talking about it because it really is inspirational. And before we get into the questions, wanted to just share a brief history. The reason that Brad is here is Brad is the guy, when he was director of sales and marketing at the Sheraton Atlanta Hotel, who hired me and hired Cesar.
Big mistake.
And at the time, he said to me, he said, listen, this guy Cesar's brand new, help him out. So Cesar used to come to me with questions, etc. And then I just watched his career grow, and now he's in an amazing position, and I'm still in the sales department, but it's an honor every day, right? So anyways, Brad Rahinsky, you're the guy who's responsible for this. A little history about yourself.
Sure. And look, hindsight 2020 probably shouldn't have put you two together, but
right.
Nonetheless, here we are. Yeah, Brad Rahinsky. I'm a Philly kid. I got 5 kids. Live down in Georgia. I've been in the hotel business since 1987. Started off dragging bags to rooms, and best job I ever had. And here I am still in the business and just love it every day. It's a great industry. More importantly, I have a tremendous family. My wife's a rock star. My kids are all better than I deserve. And life is ultimately about who you run with. My father always said that you run with good people, you'll be okay. You run with knuckleheads, you're going to get yourself in trouble. That's really what today's about, running with the right people and making sure that they lead you and help guide you in the right direction, particularly when you're having some difficult times and challenges in your life. And so just honored to be friends with these guys for the past quarter of a century. And it's good to see everybody.
It's great to have you here. So thank you. Both these guys, 1,300 miles up from Atlanta to be here. So we are honored. Now, Cesar, a little bit about your start.
Yeah. Well, great to be here with you. Be together after 20 plus years, working together and having you guys as friends. It's been quite a journey. Originally from Brazil, being here in the US, for 23 years, when I thought it would be 1 year, to do an internship when we first start working together, and just so happy, like Brad, just being very fortunate and blessed to, make great connections throughout the last few years, have wonderful people in my life, wonderful family. We have a daughter, 13 years old. And like you, just being very, very blessed to have great mentors, learn about the industry, be able to grow in the industry, and hopefully be able to now help the new generation, right? Join us and then share the life experiences too, right? That we learned along the way, the things that we've not so necessarily proud of, but you learn, you grow, adjust, and go from there.
And make the best of it. And a positive attitude is everything, right? So my name is Tom Counts. I have been friends with the three guys for a long time. I've been on a few of the podcasts. Brian calls me the fourth guy because I've been on so many times, but I bet he says that to everybody, But I'm just so happy to be here. I started in the hotel business 1982, front desk at the Sheraton Boston, and it has been downhill ever since. But I was fortunate enough that Brad hired me at the Sheraton Atlanta right after 9/11. It was just a couple months when most hotels were laying people off. Brad just got into aggressive mode, and we set out to put that hotel on the map in the pharmaceutical market. And along the way, we had a ton of fun. It was great. The interactions, the off-the-cuff stuff. I mean, we really did a lot of things that we can't talk about today for all the right reasons, but it was just such a blast and an honor to be able to work with these guys for a few years. And I wanted to get into right now that I work at the Hyatt Centric Faneuil Hall. All right. And we are a very busy destination, and it's great getting back in the hotel business. I was off for COVID and seeing the progression of how businesses operate. back in the day when we worked together, if someone was coming to the hotel, we automatically sent them a bottle of booze or a bottle of wine or whatever, and let them enjoy their evening in whatever suite we upgraded them to. Now, we go out of our way to make people feel like we're sending them something that they're going to appreciate. And most of the time it's a bottle of water as opposed to a bottle of wine. So when Cesar wrote this book about sobriety, it really made me think about everything that we're all going through and how the whole teams are going through and how this is all connected. So I wanted to just start out asking Cesar a few questions, then we'll kind of break it up a little bit. But does anyone have anything to add before I start asking away? Because this is going to be open to everybody. But so having read the book, Cesar, and lived through the experiences with you, it was eye-opening to me to see how good you are at snowing everybody.
Yeah.
Does this come naturally, or did you have to really plan it out? Like, how much work? I was totally fooled. Yeah. How much work went into hiding that?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of almost ashamed to say, but came naturally.
Yeah.
I think really began with, losing my mom at 12 in a household where we really didn't talk about emotions, didn't share. So it became very good at suppressing things and pretending life was great. And while, internally is that turmoil and that pain and suffering, but in the exterior, how do you become very good at portraying what you think people want to see or what you think is going to get you the least amount of resistance, because I also never felt that comfortable talking about, things that really matter. So whatever you can do to avoid to get that point. So I think then it just becomes second nature.
Yeah. Now, Brad, you always came across as a very respectable citizen. I'm going to assume that you're really good at snowing people as well. Did that come naturally, or did you have to work at it?
A little of both. I had to work at most things a bit more than most folks, just because I'm not that gifted, and but never been opposed to working hard. What I would say to your question, though, Tom, is that I think functional addicts have a few things in common, and one of them is they tend to be highly intelligent. Mm-hmm. They also have the ability to be a bit chameleon-like and be able to adapt to their environment and suppress and essentially become great actors to make sure that the audience that they are suppressing and hiding their addiction from, whatever that addiction may be, isn't identified. And if you think about those two characteristics and apply that to our experience with Cesar, not only was he both of those things, highly intelligent and incredibly persuasive, which is why he was in the sales department to begin with, right? His ability to persuade and influence, but you take all that and the fact that he was also just incredibly kind. Those are things that you wouldn't typically associate with somebody who's really having a challenge with addiction.
Right.
So the ability to do that, pull that off at the same time, simultaneously having a serious problem with a substance, is frankly remarkable.
Yeah.
And the fact that he punched his way out of that and has become the human being that he is and leading others to that tremendous path and journey is nothing short of sensational.
It really is inspirational. And I know that a lot of people have shared with me already how inspired they are. So I just have this right here so that I don't mess up the title, but the book, it's not even giving me a face ID here. That's how popular I am. But The Powers of Addiction, Cesar Wurm, Finding Freedom in Acceptance and Recovery. Now, one of the things that Cesar did in this book that I never had the guts to do was be totally open and honest about everything. And my second question is, have you ever gotten any backlash from any of the general managers where you were downing like bottles of wine during the day from the mini bars? Right? I don't want to give anything away, but incredibly honest, open stuff. Mm-hmm. Has anyone said, "Hey, you owe me $950 for this"?
No, not yet. They may now. It's so a couple of things, right? I think when I decided to share this story, I want to make sure that if I was going to do it, I would be pretty open about it, because I didn't think there would be value if I wasn't being transparent, right? Because part of, whenever you're overcoming any addiction, to your point, Brad, doesn't matter if it's alcohol, whatever it may be, you gotta at least be really, self-honesty is really necessary, right? You may not want to share with everybody, but I thought, well, if I will talk about my journey, I don't want to withhold important things, because to the discussion earlier, it's hard, right? Even that I being an addict, my life, you still don't associate success or whatever the case may be with addiction, right? You just picture, like my bias as well, if people are homeless, okay, that's an addict. But then as I start getting sober and start meeting other people, you realize that it's everybody. It doesn't matter what it is. There's no line delineating everyone. It's really a disease that impacts anyone, regardless of race, sex, socioeconomics. So that's why it's transparent. But then secondly, I never got any backlash so far. I think that was one of my, not fears, but thoughts that, probably will get some backlash. Thankfully, I never heard anything as being very positive, and I think reassuring that people can relate and understand that, hey, everyone has something going on in their lives, whatever Absolutely. That may be.
And that's one thing that most people have found so inspirational, is that you think, oh my God, I'm not that bad. If this guy can get out of that after doing all this stuff, I must be fine. Yeah. And that is really inspiring people. I've talked to a number of people that have read the book, and that's what's connecting with people. And that's why I really like the book so much. And I'm so proud of you for inspiring other people, but also digging out. We're talking about family earlier. I have a beautiful wife, Amy, love her dearly. My daughters, Natalie and Alyssa, amazing grandchildren, life is good and everything. But at this point, we kind of behave because we're brought into things. We're part of a big machine, right? We're all part of it. And you can't screw up whatever, because you need your family to be proud of you, right? So now, having been sober for many, many years, all right, if you had this to do over again, what would you change in the process from your struggle?
Wow. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Well, several things, right? Because I think I try not to have regrets in life, because I don't think I ever done anything purposefully to hurt but I mean, the pain that I caused my wife, for example, it gets to me, because you don't realize at the time, but just the uncertainty. Gabby was just born at the time that really my addiction accelerated. It was around her pregnancy and when Gabby was born. And so she was, of course, as a new mom, very busy with Gabby. And I don't think she realized the extent of it. So I could hide even more so for a few years. And then eventually she realized, and she said she didn't know what it was, but she told me, it's like, you're not the guy that I married, right? You're not. And it's like, whoa. And that started kind of the beginning of the awakening. Yeah. So you realize how much pain you cause with people with uncertainty, not knowing what to expect from you. And so that's the one thing that I really wish I could have done differently. It was, of course, many things, but this one, just being more aware of how my selfishness, my addiction impacted others. And it's just not on you, because when I was in that state of mind, somehow it justified it. It made sense. I could justify if I was having a bad day. Well, that was the reason why I was drinking. I was entitled to be hammered. Yeah. If I had a good day, whatever, there's always a reason. And the entire day was revolved around how I'm going to get that drink.
Wow. Well, we've all been there a number of times, but so now, right, we're sitting here and, I talked about at the hotel how we're into the zero proof movement a little bit and trying to be aware of things. But one of the most important aspects of our business today is inclusivity. How do we make everyone feel like they're welcome at the party? Like back in the day, when we celebrated a win, we all went out and had a few cocktails. Mm-hmm. All right. If there was someone dumb enough not to drink back in the day, they just didn't come along and we didn't care. Right. Well, now you look at it, we've got about 25% of the workforce is either dealing with some kind of struggle or they have a family member dealing with some kind of struggle. And the thought of having 9 shots of tequila with the director of sales is no longer the top of their priority list. Right. Mm-hmm. So how do we bring everyone into the fold and not make anyone feel bad for drinking or for not drinking? Because that's always been an issue. Here we are. I have one hotel. I influence a few guests every week, right? Brad, you have 300 hotels. You have 1,000 hotels or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So what can we do to help make it better for absolutely everybody and not have it be a stigma, Because we talk to people, we communicate with people, and let's face it, you guys influence teams of people in how to behave and how to operate. You know what I mean? So this is out there. I mean, how do we get that message out there, and what can we do to make it more inclusive for everyone?
Yeah, it's a great question, Tom. I think, look, while you want to stay genuine and authentic to who you are, I think as leaders, to your point, which is really where your question is getting pegged to, as leaders, we have a responsibility to think about things a bit differently, particularly around inclusion, around fulfilling and understanding other individuals' sense of purpose. Because what I heard Cesar just really eloquently talk about was a couple things. He had to find his why. And for him, unfortunately, it had to hit rock bottom, whether that is, take away the alcohol addiction, you could apply that rock bottom to any big challenging moment in your life. And then it's what you do with that and how you bring in other people. I would suggest to you that everybody's got a sense of purpose and everyone has aspirations. Being able to identify what those are for your team members, those groups, when you're celebrating the wins, but also maybe equally or more important when you're having difficult times is what do you do with that? What is your why? And at what point do you surrender, drop to your knees and say, I can't do this. I'm in trouble. And to Cesar's credit, he did it before his world spiraled out of control and crashed on him. And here we are today talking about the victory. And it's an everyday thing. This isn't something that's static. You put the victory up on the shelf and it's every day. And so getting back to leading people, understanding their purpose, making sure that you can create a roadmap for them to help them get from point A to B, that aspirational roadmap, and then celebrating that. And fortunately, if you look back to when we were doing it back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, it was a bit of a different lens to your point. And while it was a lot of fun, I'm not sure it was better.
Absolutely.
I think we've evolved in terms of priorities, in terms of how we lead people, and in terms of how we support one another, regardless of all the things that you mentioned earlier around what curls your toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is a fantastic answer. Anything to add to that?
Yeah. Can't say any better.
When I grow up, I want to be able to talk like you do. I'll tell you that. But right now, we're halfway between our questions. And so we're going to do a 3 guys tradition. We've got a few little break questions. All right. Let's start with Cesar. Favorite band?
Favorite brand?
Band.
Guns N' Roses.
Like Tiffany is my favorite brand. Favorite band?
Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses. Awesome. How about you, Brian?
Either Genesis or Queen or Journey. Hard to put those 3 right at the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury was just named #1 frontman of all time, knocking Mick Jagger out of the place, by the way. So a lot of people agree with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I really had to name one, it would probably be Led Zeppelin or maybe the Rolling Stones for longevity. And #3 would be Guns N' Roses, you know, just because I've been a struggling guitarist for 40 years. And I know how difficult it is. And I really just appreciate all of the work and talent that these guys have. But there's another 100 bands that have as much talent that are doing incredible things.
No doubt.
And have you guys listened to Greta Van Fleet lately?
I haven't.
I'm not familiar.
Listen to Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
Listen to Greta Van Fleet. They're awesome. It reminds me of a young Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
I mean, just tons of energy, amazing. I mean, we can listen on the way to the airport, right? So, favorite sport. I think I know what Brad's is. What's your favorite sport?
Formula One.
Formula One.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's racing. Yeah.
Okay. A sidebar to that would be, who taught you how to serve in tennis?
I still can't.
He's lying. I played, Steve-O and I played against Cesar, and he beat us both. All right. This guy has an incredible serve, and I couldn't return it for nothing.
Well, the only thing I'd say about that, if you look at you and Steve-O, that's a low bar. I'm not sure that's the benchmark, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Sorry, Steve-O.
No, well deserved. Okay, but Brad, I know you've